Hello, you're all very welcome to the second in a 6-part series that we are conducting for the European Commission called Managing Your Tourism Business Online. Through this series, we're going to be focusing on practice, innovation and excellence. It's designed for small and medium-sized enterprises to get to grips with digital. My name's Nick and I'm going to be your host for today's program. We have a really exciting lineup of content and guests, so I hope you'll all be joining and following us through this. First of all, I'd like to encourage you all to get tweeting, and we will put your tweets to our guests, and we'll also try and answer some of your tweets later on in today's program. So do use the hashtag #MyTourismBiz, and we'll get to those later on. We are going to talk to you today about marketing your business, and we're going to be focusing on key marketing basics to help you put together the right marketing strategy as a small business today in tourism. So let's kick off and see who we've got coming up in today's program. So we're going to be first of all hearing from our mentor, Lara Bujalance, who's been starting a business, and she will be telling us about how she's been getting along with that. So we're looking forward to hearing from her in just a moment. We're going to be talking about your business in the travel planning cycle, giving you some key basics to understand how to think about each stage of the travel planning cycle. We're going to be interviewing a couple of business experts, really well-respected people, Lindsay, Herbert and Carole Favre. And we're also going to be then looking at marketing your business to today's visitor, considering the changing behavior of consumers today. Later on, we'll be hearing from our industry expert from Google, and we will also hear from 2 SMEs, Pecora, Verde and Lara. And then to conclude, we will be answering your questions and also getting Laura's thoughts on all of that amazing inspirational content. So thank you very much for joining us. So without any further ado, I'm going to head over to Lara and see how she's been getting on with her business over the past 2 weeks. So, Lara, it's great to have you back. Thanks very much for coming back in to see us.
Of course.
In the first program, we heard about your business, which was still really in the very early stages. Now, it's only 2 weeks on, so we know that things do move fast in the world of business, but not that fast. But I'm sure you've been hard at work, working on taking on board all of that feedback and advice you heard from the first one.
Definitely.
So tell us a little bit about what you've been up to in the last couple of weeks.
So I thought it was probably going to be a quicker start, but I've been doing my homework. I've been meeting with several advisors in different fields. So I've been looking at how to constitute myself legally, how to establish my company legally in Spain. Then I've also met with accountants and other economic, financial advisors. And I've been putting down a few ideas, and I have still a lot of work to do. I guess I kind of organized my ideas a little better, but I'm still in those early stages. So
I think you almost took a little bit of a step back, because you had actually successfully run quite a few yoga retreats, which we thought was just really great and a really inspirational story. But in your success, you perhaps realized you've maybe jumped the gun a little bit, and if you want to be successful as a competitive business, you have to make sure you have the foundation and all of the basics in place so that your business will grow and flourish. So you started off by looking at your competitors.
Yes.
Tell us what you sort of took away from that research you did online.
Well, I guess I kind of, I saw that what I thought was true, it is true. Like I think I have to market the North American market, but I've also found that probably the Scandinavian and Northern European countries are also a good starting point as well. So that in terms of competition and also in terms of price strategy, I've also been looking at that, how these markets are selling their yoga retreats. I've also been comparing that to what I've been doing so far. And again, I've also been learning how to do that properly, how to price my retreats right. So that was also a bit of a step back.
But in doing this, you've realized you have 2 clear market opportunities, Europe and North America. And actually, not so much difference in product, but definitely difference in how you present that product and the level of service that you provide.
Exactly. It seems that these markets really do value the customization of the product and the outstanding service on site. So
your focus is now to work on that and excel on that.
Yeah.
And going back to the more administrative side of the business, are you now on a clearer track in terms of setting yourself up as the right kind of entity and being able to sell to these individuals?
I hope so. Again, I'm still looking at it. There's lots of things to consider that I never thought there would be, and I would probably go for, joining an association of a small business, small travel agents.
So sort of affiliating with an umbrella organization as a sort of sales channel, but also to give you the right kind of backing that you need in order to run your business.
Exactly.
And I understand you also looked a bit at budgeting and how to sort of cost up your business. And we spoke before about having your overall budget and looking at the overall cost of running a business, but also looking at the different products that you can offer and looking at the cost within this. So what have you sort of learned in this process?
Well, my main idea was to cater to yoga teachers and be that my main product. But I've seen that I will probably have to expand very soon and probably base my business on marketing the full product, the full retreat to the end customer. I don't know when that will be, but that could be, I hope, soon.
And do you find it overwhelming at this point to take on board?
I'm completely overwhelmed.
Okay. But I think as you're going to learn from our experts later on, learning through mistakes is actually one of the best outcomes you can have as a small business. So we're going to be hearing from you a bit later on and getting your feedback on the videos. And let's see what your thoughts are in terms of how you're going to start to put together your marketing plan.
Okay.
So thanks again for joining us. We'll be back later on. And now I'm going to start to introduce some of the key basics on the visitor planning cycle. So, as I just said, I'm going to now talk to you about how to think about your business in the travel planning cycle. Now, first things to say, we're going to look here at what is the travel planning cycle, for those of you who are completely new to the industry. How do your visitors go through that cycle? How do you generate awareness? How do you encourage bookings? And also, how do you drive advocacy? And we're going to be sharing some interesting insights and statistics which help you get a better understanding of the current landscape. So first of all, I'm referring here to the 5 stages of travel that has been produced by Google. There have been many, many different versions of the travel planning cycle, and we, of course, have our own version, and so do many other travel businesses have their own take on the travel planning cycle. But we thought, for the sake of giving everybody a really good reference, that Google would be a good place to start looking at how they view it. And they've divided this into a number of different stages: dreaming, planning, booking, experiencing, and sharing. And we're going to run through each of those and talk about the key things that you need to think about at each stage. So first of all, when it comes to dreaming and inspiration, we have to think about the fact that travelers rely very heavily on social media, video content, and authentic photography that they find across multiple of different sites and search engines. 65% of leisure travelers are starting their research online, so it's very clear that the web is your key and primary tool to inspire people to travel and to book with you. 69% of business travelers also start their research online before they travel. Search engines and YouTube are the top online sources of information, and it's important to say that YouTube itself has become one of the leading search engines. Customers now will look directly in YouTube when they want information about a specific product because they want a video answer. Also, when it comes to reviews, travel review sites are very important, not only for helping people put together their plans, but also helping them form inspiration. So it's really important to have great, authentic, and inspirational reviews from your customers. And of course, as we've already said, online travel videos are highly influential at the early stages. So when we think about tools, of course there are many, but let's just run through a few of those. Starting with email marketing. Many marketers will tell you that email is dead, but in fact it is not. But it is true to say that people rely less on email now, and they're moving much more towards social media. But if you have a really good and solid client base, email can be very powerful in keeping in touch with them, pushing through offers, and encouraging sharing and loyalty. So it's really important to consider this as a useful tool. And there are great ways in which you can deliver great email campaigns, starting off with tools which don't cost anything to use. Social media is very, very important. We have actually a program on social media coming up later in the series where we'll focus in more detail. Blogs are something which has come about, they're not new, but they've certainly seen a rise in the last couple of years. Great bloggers can really inspire people to make their decisions and stimulate that inspiration to travel. And bloggers can really focus in niche areas. If your business has a very specific focus, they can really be very powerful. Rich video content is more and more important, and if you're not already producing video content, you need to start thinking about how to do so. And images need to be authentic. This is the key message to take away. Involving your customers in your images is really important, and not trying to over-stylize things. Storytelling is a big trend that we're seeing. It's important that you create opportunities for people to share experiences in a very personal way. And obviously the user experience on your site must reflect the experience that they have with your product. Moving on to the planning stage, let's look at the key things you need to consider thinking about here. First of all, digital is key. Think about your website and all of your online presence as providing a digital Swiss Army knife for your customers. You need to provide them with everything that they need. Surprisingly, and perhaps somewhat boring, the most important things to give on a website are opening hours and directions and practical information. These are the things that your customers are looking for. And as much as they may not help to sell in a really exciting way, this is really essential to have on your site. Think about the fact that travelers search and they look at many different websites to help form their ideas. And think about that path to purchase, which can often be very complex and involve many different sites. 77% of travelers are using search smartphones in the planning phase. So it's important to understand that a lot of planning is now quite ad hoc and it's on the go, but it all comes together to make those final plans. And travel planning is actually driving booking on mobiles. So we can actually see a far greater uptake to just a year or two ago in terms of booking through mobile. So you should definitely think about the implications of mobile. When it comes to optimizing and planning for that, think about the importance of SEO. It's nothing new, but the basis of it is having really great content and making sure that your content is really appropriate for what your visitors are searching for. There are various techniques to optimizing and to mastering search, but ultimately it's important that you put in the work to make sure your site comes to the top of searches on relevant topics. And there are various different tools which can help you with that. It's important to have a mix between inspirational content and practical content that supports travelers, but also think about the role of smartphones. This is something that's come about very recently, but smartphones are now being used at every single stage in the journey. Moving on to the booking phase. Now, booking phase is really moving towards the importance of transparency of pricing. And we see sites like Kayak and Skyscanner really very, very popular amongst consumers because they provide a plethora of results on one single site. Travelers are really looking for clear and transparent pricing information, and it's important that you engage with them on that level. Travelers also switch between different devices, so they may start a booking on one device and finish on another. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to have really advanced technology to allow them to continue and finalize their booking on one device, but you do certainly need to think about the coherence, the consistency, and how you may receive your visitors from one device to a next. Familiarity of the structure and the navigation process is just one of the things you need to think about. Mobile does influence the booking decision. So if you have a really bad mobile experience, it will impact on your bookings. And you should think about the fact that the user experience across the board, whatever the device, is really key. So it's important to test your site on users, test it on friends and family, and make sure you fully understand whether your customers are able to go through that booking process without hitting obstacles and hurdles. It's really important to test. Negative booking experience leads to travelers moving to another site and, in the worst case scenario, abandoning the booking completely. So it's really important to try and avoid that. Tips to help you improve that: simplify the navigation. This is a key thing that you can do. Simplify the overall booking process. This is particularly the case for mobile. If you can do a booking in 3 clicks, you're a winner. But if it takes 10 different steps, you're going to lose them. Optimize your brand for all devices. And make sure that you think about where you're actually going to sell. You don't need to have a booking engine on your site, but if you do, make sure it works really well for you and your customers, and make sure it's right for them. Moving on to the experiencing stage of the travel planning cycle. Experience is a word which we hear more and more about. Customers want amazing experiences in the destination, with your product, in your attraction, and they also want a similar experience online. 53% of travelers are using their mobiles to find information. Travelers are expecting Wi-Fi when they get to the destination. And think about it like this: even if you're not responsible for providing Wi-Fi within a hotel, think about if you take your customers out and about, if you're an attraction, or if you operate some kind of safari trip, then think about the need to provide mobile connectivity while your visitors are out and about. They expect to stay connected for finding practical information, and they need to stay connected to share information, which is ultimately going to lead to very positive results for your business. The on-site experience is certainly powered by mobile, and mobile is driving key decisions whilst a traveler is actually in your business or in a destination. 45% of hotel guests are actually traveling with 2 devices, and 40% are traveling with 3 devices. So you really need to make sure that you provide the right digital infrastructure, even if it's a simple infrastructure, which allows them to get online with any device. So improve what your travelers are able to do in the destination when it comes to digital, and you will definitely see the results. Think about the fact that your product must really stand up. You're only as good as your product. Promote your digital channels in the offline world. The point of sale opportunity is a really key driver to get people to download apps or to engage with your brand. So think about where you come into contact with your customers. Great service improves the experience, and of course, travelers will share that great offline experience online. And make sure that your online experience and your offline experience align together. You should have the similar culture throughout your business and not talk to your customers in a different way. Finally, the sharing stage. Half of the travelers that travel today are sharing their pictures online. Reviews, pictures, and videos are very important for businesses, in particular, to inspire their customers. It's important as a trigger for the trigger to the dreaming stage, but also for all the other stages. And the shared content that you can provide through your customers helps form your online reputation. So it's really important to understand that this shared content has an effect throughout the travel cycle. Make sure your customers are happy to share their experience. Drive them to sites like Facebook, Instagram, and TripAdvisor. Ask them to write reviews. Ask them to share their experiences. Engage with them, and engage with them online. And also reward great feedback and great creative content from your customers. It can be something as small as a room upgrade, but it will really make your customers feel rewarded and happy and encourage them to share more and more. So with those concluding thoughts, I will move on to our next guest, which is Lindsay Herbert. She's the head of digital at Precedent Communications, and I had a chat with her yesterday to find out exactly how she views the travel cycle. So let's hear what she had to say. So I'm very pleased to be joined by Lindsay Herbert, the global head of digital at Precedent. Lindsay, why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about your role in Precedent and also your background?
Sure. Well, I like to say that I have the best job in the world because basically half of my job is going around to our different offices. We have offices across the UK, in Australia, and now also in China. So I go around, I find out kind of what the best practices in digital, how people are using digital channels, their websites, that sort of thing, to come up with really great innovations that get more customers, that retain customers, etc. So that's half of my job, and then I do talks, and we help out with the reports that we write here at the agency based on those things that I learn. The other half of my job, though, is actually applying those great practices with the clients that we work with. And in addition to some other sectors, we specialize in travel and tourism, and so we work with a lot of big destination leisure brands, that sort of thing, to just figure out the best ways of applying digital, whether that's rebuilding a big website for them or just looking at better ways of using the channels that they're already employing. So that's my role. And background-wise, though, I actually used to specialize completely in travel and leisure, but back in Canada, if you couldn't tell by the accent.
Great. So you give you have a pretty good perspective from both sides of the pond, and also the whole cross section of the industry. I know that Precedent, as well as helping your clients with their whole digital activities and making sure they perform really, really competitively in the digital marketplace. You also do a lot of thought leadership. So you mentioned some of the talks that you've given. I know that Precedent have also released a number of reports. So I think what would be great is if we touch on those today and just help to understand a bit more about, sort of unravel those and find out a bit more about the kind of learnings that you've developed as an agency and the work that you've done. So I think first of all, I want to touch on the visitor cycle. So many people in the tourism industry are very familiar with this. It can be sort of 4 stages or it can be 20, and everyone has a different take on it. But essentially, what it's all about is how do you connect and how do you work with your customers at every stage. One thing we see again and again and again is that sometimes businesses, they don't think necessarily about pushing the customers through the funnel, about ensuring they convert and they actually become customers. And we see pockets of innovation from a business that's doing amazing things in one area to another one that's just purely focused on the conversion. Tell us about the My Dream Day Out report, and what are the sort of takeaways that we can learn from that?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think first of all, you're absolutely right that every marketer in the tourism travel industry has got a model of some sort, and I think the thing that sets ours apart is that it's actually looking at it from the perspective of the customer. And it's called the Dream Day Out, so DREAM being the acronym. And the reason that we've gone at it from this angle is that the key definer, I think, in those businesses that you were talking about, some that get it right, some that get it wrong, or just focus on conversion rather than retention, the key difference is the ones who get it right understand that traveler, that visitor, isn't just going to that one thing in isolation. They're going to lots of different things that make up an entire day or an entire trip or outing, and they're also not going by themselves. So it's not just them you have to convince; it's their family or their spouse or whomever else. And the key thing about Dream is that digital is the way to connect all those dots, to think about not just how you're going to get that visitor moving through your own conversion funnel and then back through into repeat visits, but how you're going to be able to think about them in the wider context, that kind of, we like to say that physically you're limited, but digitally you're not, that you can do so much more to connect those different touch points for the user, for the visitor, to ensure that they're choosing your destination, going through it, and then also recommending others to come through it again. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, but I can always tell you a little bit more.
Yeah, tell me a bit more about the acronym then, DREAM. It's not just about the dreaming of travel, which is why we all work in this industry. It's such a great industry to work in. But tell me, what are those different stages?
Absolutely. So it starts out, so D stands for desire. And the desire stage is before the person even knows that you exist as a destination, right? They've just got that inkling that they want to take a trip or they want to visit something, right? So that's D, desire. Next one is R, research. So that's when you will be listed, your business will be amongst all the other possibilities of where they could go. And you might be being compared, say you're a destination, you might be Amsterdam and you're being compared to Las Vegas. This is a broad time when they're getting in as much information as possible. Then we move on to E. So we go D-R-E, and E is engage. Okay, they've chosen you, or they've indicated strongly that they're interested. And now is your opportunity to, if you have converted them, get them as excited as possible, get them as prepared as possible for when they actually come and visit you. Or it's just about tipping that balance, tipping that scale to make sure that they're not just planning on spending a couple of hours, they're planning on spending a big bulk of time, right? And so social media and email and that sort of thing is what you're using at that stage. Then we get into the second half, which is A, okay? A is attend. They're actually there. You've got all these opportunities to enhance the experience, augment it, help them to capture memories. This is where we start seeing things like, what can you do with the free Wi-Fi that you've provided? What can you do with tablet devices? What can you do with guided virtual tours? That sort of thing. And everything about attend is around trying to get them as engaged in the moment as possible, but also just making it as easy for them as possible, because the person who has a great time is the person who's going to want to come back, but also recommend and write a good review. Then we get into the end of Dream, which is M, which is memories. So this is where you, the destination or the business, can be using the different channels available to you to help remind the person of the great time they had, whether that's providing them space on a website to see images, or accessing things on a Facebook profile, using email. Again, there are lots of different ways of doing it. But the whole point of M, of memories, is to get that person either recommending and reviewing, or to get them coming back for another visit. Now, what's interesting though, is that, so you've got your acronym now, you've got DREAM, but at every single point in that cycle, you're also trying to think about what else is happening in that person's day. What else do you know about that visitor that is going to make their overall travel experience better? And that's where you're starting to look at things like partnerships with other providers in your area, making recommendations for things, making it easy for them to get to you and then leave where you are. And this is again where digital can really be helping a huge amount. And just something as simple as a recommended list of restaurants where they can go at the end of the day can sometimes make the difference between a dream day out and one that's a little bit exhausting and consists of wandering around in an unfamiliar city at the end of your wonderful experience. So that's Dream in a nutshell. Those are all the steps.
Great. Sounds like a really holistic and strategic way to think about how to plan your marketing activities.
Yeah.
And I guess also it's important about seeing it still as a dream and making sure that you deliver on the dream that you promise. I'm keen to learn now about a more recent piece of work that you've done, which is the customer experience, survival of the fittest. So tell me more about that, and what can we take away as businesses from that?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned, actually, because the thing that sometimes overwhelms people when it comes to digital is there's too much to do, and I talk about something like the dream model and all those different stages. And it's like, I've only got, one marketing person. How are they going to be able to create content for all of those different points, And that's what the customer experience report is really focusing on, is how to prioritize, how to decide what kind of digital strategy, customer experience sort of strategy you want to be crafting to get the most business value out of it. Because if you spread yourself too thinly, then obviously, you're not going to get any bang for your buck. But also, if you decide to do too little, that's when the competition and just people's changing behaviors and changing tastes and preferences are going to suddenly find your business becoming endangered. So that's what customer experience, CX, survival of the fittest, focuses on, is how fit is your business to survive change, to adapt to change. There's a really great test that you can take in the report, and both of these reports, by the way, are available for free to download off of the Precedent website. But there's a really great questionnaire in there where you can assess how the culture of your business, how all different things can contribute to that fitness level, to find out what fitness state you're actually at. And then based on the fitness state that you're at, the report outlines what you should do next, what critical things you should be doing next to make better use of digital, to make better use of your staff, start innovating within your own organization, all around providing that better customer experience. So that's CX survival in the fittest in a nutshell.
That sounds like an incredibly valuable tool, and I hope there's a lot of takeaways that businesses will get from that. We will, of course, provide the links for people to download that. I guess to sum up these two great insights that you've shared with us, what are the biggest challenges that you see businesses facing today, and how can they begin to sort of cut through all of the noise in the digital landscape, all of the big trends which they know they have to get onto? How can they make sure that they're really, really focused in what they do?
So I think the biggest challenge with the organizations that I work with is finding time to tackle some of this forward-thinking future stuff along with all the business as usual. It's hard when, you've got repairs to make on things, you've got new staff you have to hire just to deliver normal, customer service type stuff. How do you then get the time and the headspace to think about where you should be going next? So that's something that we help our clients with, is finding that headspace, figuring out that prioritization. But it doesn't mean that you can't do it yourselves either. I think the key thing is, take a model like the Dream model. It's also got loads of examples from other businesses and destinations that are doing it right. Take a look at the CX report, and just even if you're just coming up with some quick wins, making sure that they're tied to whatever those business goals are that you've got, I think that can help people to start to address that issue. I mean, the key thing that I say is, if you don't know where to start with your bad reviews. Start with the number one thing that people are complaining most about, because when it comes to travel and tourism, that's public now. Reviews are just out there. The worst thing you can be doing is ignoring those bad reviews. So see if you can identify a way that digital can be used to address one of those. And if you need any help with that, then you can always give me a shout, or someone from my company. But it's something that you can definitely do internally if you got the people behind you. So that's the big challenge, and that's the recommendation I have for it.
Great, very sound advice. Thank you very much, Lindsay, for sharing that with us. Of course, we'll provide the links and put anyone in touch with you should they want to find out more. Thanks a lot.
Great, thanks.
Brilliant. So really good insights there from Lindsay, and we will of course make those two reports available through a download link. So if you're watching this program after the live event, those links will already be in, and if you're watching it as a live event, we will provide the links later on. Our next guest, who we spoke to about business, is Carole Favre from Small Matters, and she works with small businesses across Europe, and she really helps to give them sound advice on how to structure their business and put together a business plan. So let's hear what she had to say.
So, my name is Carole Favre, and I'm French, as you can hear with the accent, but I live in the UK, and I've actually lived in the UK for 17 years now. I spent most of my time in the UK working in the tourism industry, and as well as teaching. I actually taught for 13 years. And earlier this year, I decided to set up my own business, which is a boutique consultancy business that specializes in giving advice to small tourism entrepreneurs. So it's called Small Matters, and it's for small people like me.
Great. Okay, that sounds really interesting. Tell me, your experience of working with these small businesses, what would you advise are the first steps towards putting together a marketing plan as a tourism business?
So I think the most important thing is to define your executive summary. So by that, what I mean is in one line, really, and not more, explain what it is that your business is trying to achieve and what it is that you're trying to achieve as well. Because as a small business, what you're doing needs to reflect your personality. I think that this is, the big difference between large businesses and small businesses. So you need to enjoy your work, and it needs to be about you as much as it is about the business itself. So, for example, you could decide to open a small bed and breakfast that specializes in catering to single women. Then that will inform the kind of services that you're going to provide to them, and the facilities also that you're going to have in your bed and breakfast. But if you do not define your target market, if you do not define the kind of service that you want to give, so maybe it's all about pampering and wellness, then your clients are not going to understand that either. So the first thing is, what is it that you want to do, that you are about?
Okay, great. So, and also thinking about how you are differentiating yourself as a business.
Well, that's okay. So that's another. That's the
okay.
You're running.
we will get to that in a minute. So when it comes to digital, obviously this is digital is a place which is moving very, very fast all the time, and it has been doing so for the last 10 years. What is your advice to SMEs when it comes to digital? How can they start thinking about making sure they're in the right place for that?
Well, I think that I'll build up on what you were suggesting about this kind of unique selling proposition. So when you know what you want to offer, you need to actually check that it meets the needs of the market. There is absolutely no point in trying to do something that someone else is already doing better than you. There is no point in doing something that doesn't have demand. So you need to do your market research, find out what are the needs on the market, and then match that to what you are capable of offering. When you know what makes you special, you then can use that in your communication, in your digital communication. The first thing is to find out how you can communicate this unique selling proposition. What I do in my workshops with small accommodation providers is that I ask them to do a short video that they put on their homepage to explain that to their client. Because one of the things that small businesses can do is instigate trust. And I believe that if a small business owner directly communicates to its client on its website, already on the homepage, then the clients are going to really connect, with that person, and they're going to say, "Oh yeah, I like them. I like what they are about, and I am going to book with them." So, I really think that digital marketing is all about this trust and this relationship that you have between the client and the business.
It's quite ironic, isn't it? Because far from creating a distance, it actually has the opportunity to build a closer relationship, and trust is really key there.
And I think this is the advantage of being a small business. Large businesses, they are too big, to do this, and you lose that kind of human touch. So you cannot see, the internet as something that gets you away from people. It's actually an opportunity to come closer to people, to reduce distances.
Great, okay, very interesting. So in terms of digital and the sort of opportunities and challenges which it brings, what would you say are the key things to consider when it comes to both running a business and what digital can do there, but also marketing a business?
Well, okay, I think the biggest challenge for a small business is time. Because very often, you run your business on your own. I do that. I'm on my own. So finding the time to find out what you have to communicate, because it is about content. And there is absolutely no point in tweeting for the sake of tweeting and telling me that this morning you had a cup of tea. I mean, who cares? You need to communicate something that means something to your clients. So what's in there, for the customers when you communicate. So the biggest challenge is to define the content and to offer content that add value, that brings some kind of information, enables you to connect. And that, to me, as a small entrepreneur myself, I find that a challenge, because you always have pressure from all these statistics that tell you, oh, tweet every day, post something on Facebook every day. And it's like, what can I do? What can I say? I believe that you need to communicate when you have something meaningful to communicate.
Okay.
Otherwise, it doesn't work. With regard to running the business, it's a fantastic opportunity to seek feedback from your clients and to find out what they like and what they don't like, to listen to them, and to then, amend your service and show your clients what you are doing to better, your proposal.
Okay, great. Now, you've worked with many businesses over the past year, really small businesses. And what's the sort of reactions you've seen to the sort of challenges and development of digital as you've been working with them?
First, for knowledge, and also not really knowing, what to do with all these things. Everyone is like, okay, what do I do with my website? What do I do with Twitter? What do I do with Facebook? And then you have all the rest, and Pinterest, and how do I use pictures? So it's overwhelming, the amount of information and what you need to deal with, and plan these things strategically can be really scary as a small business. So what I have observed is a need to, for help, and in mentoring and helping small entrepreneurs trying to organize and prioritize what is most important. And for me, it would be, you start with your website and you make sure that you spend the money on your website for it to be mobile phone compatible. This is the most important thing. And then you go onto Facebook and you create your Facebook page. To me, this is, if you do only two things, you do these two things and you do them well.
What would your advice to a small business who really feels overwhelmed by the whole digital thing, such as getting a mobile site? It sounds good in theory. It even sounds logical, perhaps, to most people. But for many, they don't know where to begin with that. Who do they start with? Who do they work with?
Don't do it yourself. There are things that I'm good at and there are things I am not good at. First of all, you are honest with yourself. Yes, there is absolutely no point in setting yourself for failure. I mean, I don't understand that. And I know that it costs money, but if you are in business, you have to invest for the future. So ask for help, and there are plenty of designers out there that will be able to help you and create something that you like. Now, for example, what I did when I set up my website is I did a lot of research on all the consultancy tourism websites that were doing the same kind of things that I'm doing. I mean, I'm doing something different. What I'm doing doesn't exist. But I looked at their homepage. I looked at how they were advertising themselves, and the layout. Then the one that I really preferred, I learned from that, and then I contacted someone that I knew could deliver that. But you can always contact the company, that has created a website that you like. So I start with that, but I do some research really on what do my competitors do, what do I like, that fits also my personality. My website totally reflects me. And I think that the website of a company needs to reflect the owner, its ideas, what they want to do.
Great, really good advice there. When it comes to going right back to that business planning stage, creating a business plan, we're all told when we start a business, you have to have a business plan. And I do like your approach of let's just start with an executive summary, at least know what you want to achieve. I think this is really good. When it comes to developing a more extensive business plan, how should an SME consider the role of digital in that? Is that something that they should really build into that into that business plan as a key digital element?
I think you have several steps. You have to look at, your strength, your company. Then you look at the industry, and then you look at the customers, and then you look at the competition. And after that, you plan strategically. And that's when marketing comes into it. Distribution, marketing, and then revenue management. And that is when you have to decide how you are going to get your clients. A lot of people think that marketing is about advertising. No, Marketing is something that's there all the time. Marketing is about getting your product ready to market. So it includes product design, and it includes who my clients are going to be and how I'm going to get to them and where I'm going to find them. So these are the main steps. It's not only like, oh, I'm going to advertise, on some kind of platform. It doesn't work like that.
So I guess your advice there is to step back, approach it very strategically, very wisely, and I guess actually consider the really key basic principles of marketing, which are your product, your price, where you're promoting it, and how you're promoting it. And perhaps therefore, would you say it's not sensible to look at digital as another world, but look at where your channels will naturally be once you've defined your market?
But digital is not another world. Digital is the world. It's just, welcome to reality. This is the 21st century. You can't, and I know it's hard because it's scary for many people. And believe me, it's scary for me too. You asked about how you deal with it. I get help. I have a friend who is, very good at handling social media, and I've asked her, and she helps me sometimes. And there are, you can contact students, and you can think laterally of, how to develop a project, speak to universities, you can get free advice as long as you think about exchanging, information.
So really open up your ideas, your plans, what you want to achieve, and get other people to help you achieve that.
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely.
My last question for you, as we are running out of time, is in terms of finding best practices, getting advice and information about what others have done, and also finding information about your potential markets and getting general support. What would your advice to a small business be, without obviously the resources to tap into really expensive databases and things like that?
I think you can do something very easily, such as set up a Google alert. Yes, so you just, each week you get some information. You have your keywords. They can listen to you. That would be my advice. So follow some key bloggers or vloggers. Do some, I like YouTube. I think you learn so much on YouTube. It's very easy. You want to learn something, enter your keywords, and you watch a video, and in 5 minutes you know something much more. So it's about, I think the most important is to actually plan it in your work routine. It's not how difficult it is. It's finding the time to say, every Tuesday morning for an hour, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to find out what's happening. It is so easy to get bogged down by the little things, by your business, and then you don't see what's happening. You don't understand what the emerging markets are. You don't know about the new trends, and then you're incapable of grabbing, an opportunity. And as a small business, you need to be aware of, what's happening on the market. What kind of need can I cater to? What's fashionable? Yes.
Really good advice there, Carole. Thank you.
Thank
you very much for sharing your insights with us. We're actually going to have you live with us later in the series, so we're looking forward to that. But thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Thank you. You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
So now we'll be focusing on how can you actually adapt your business to today's visitor. That's really, really important. Again, some of the things that we'll be looking at here, we will look at the 5 P's of marketing, which is a very important basic marketing tool that you should really always focus on and have in mind. We'll also look at specifically at the product and how you should really understand your visitor. Some insights also on marketing basics, segmentation, marketing strategy, and of course we'll be referring back to the visitor cycle. So now, When we talk about the 5 P's of marketing, we really talk about product, price, place, packaging, and promotion. And these are really, really important factors to consider into everything that you're doing. So really, when you think about it, you really have to make sure that the quality of the experience that you're offering, also all of these personal interactions that you have when you go throughout the travel cycle, as Nick mentioned beforehand, and also all of the niche and really unique and memorable experience are really marketed in the best way possible, because really that's what drives advocacy, that's what will drive interest from new travelers from all the different segments that you would like to target to. And these also ultimately drive bookings, and that's really, really important. So now specifically about your product. When you're thinking about your product, when you're starting off, or if you already have a range of different products for travelers, you really need to make sure that your product is very unique and also that it adds value to the overall experience that the traveler has. So you really need to understand as well which segment you want to target and also which segment you want to market to, because you cannot market to everybody that is out there. And I think this is also something that Lara is now thinking about, because for her business, she might be looking at marketing specifically to maybe Americans in their 30 to 50s who are really interested in health and travel and want to see Europe. And that's a great target market for her. You also then need to understand where your target group, your segment, whether that's a niche or a specific segment, you need to understand where do they actually research travel products, so you can target them there. And you also need to identify different marketing strategies to really optimize how you can reach those travelers, those segments in the best way possible. So maybe for a hotel, a good way to do that is email marketing. If you get a lot of your visitors to sign up to a newsletter, then frequent email marketing about what's new, what different products, what offers you have, that might work. If you're a restaurant, maybe it's more important to engage with different visitors on social media, or if you're a different business, Google AdWords might work quite well. But there's, of course, a variety of different marketing strategies that you can focus on. So if we summarize sort of what we've had before, you really need to make sure that your website is optimized for mobile. I think this is something that Nick stressed beforehand. You also need to develop a before, during, and after strategy for your product. And you also need to make sure that you engage with your visitor at all of the different cycles where it's important, and always ask your customers and your happy visitors to review and share their experiences, because that will drive other people through the cycle. And also marketing strategies are really evolving from offline to online, so that's also something to consider. Multi-channel marketing, it has to go for different channels. Don't just choose one of them, but choose a variety that fits in with the niche or the segment that you're targeting. And always keep measuring, analyzing, and improving your marketing strategy, because it will not be perfect the first time, but as you keep on doing it, it really evolve and become perfect. So next up, I'm really pleased to be introducing our next interview with Dionisis Kolokotsas from Google.
I am joined by Dionisis Kolokotsas. Dionisis, thanks for joining me from Google. First of all, let's start out by hearing a bit more about what it is you are responsible for at Google in Greece.
Yes, so hi, I'm Dionisis Kolokotsas. I'm a public policy and government relations manager for Google. And basically, what keeps me busy with is making sure that the policymakers and other institutional stakeholders understand the benefits of the internet and how, in particular, the internet can help grow the economy, create new jobs, improve the way we educate next generations, promote culture, and also quite relevant for Greece and the rest of the region is how do we boost the tourism industry via the internet.
Great, and I understand you are leading a project called Grow Greek Tourism. Tell me a bit more about that project and what's it aiming to do? Who's it for?
Yeah, this is actually a very nice cross-functional effort that involves obviously different groups and different people within Google, as well as distinguished external partners. So Grow Greek Tourism Online is our effort to help create or help enhance the Greek tourism ecosystem. We basically see that there is a great opportunity to create an ecosystem or enhance the ecosystem with the digital skills necessary to improve the presence of the Greek tourism product and services online, and basically attract more tourists, strengthen the economy, and create new jobs.
Okay, tell me a bit about the small business landscape and tourism in particular. I understand you did some research before embarking on this initiative. What did the research help you to understand about tourism?
Yes, absolutely. We basically, in the last few years, we see a couple of trends. One of them shows that there is an increasing use of the internet by travelers to get aspiration, prepare, book their next trip, and as well as share content during and after the trip. Based on those trends, we went to tourism economics, and that was actually a regional effort. So Greece, together with Italy and Spain, went to Oxford Economics and asked the very basic question: how could tourism industry and the economy overall benefit from a stronger, better content online? So how much could the tourism industry in Greece and the Greek economy grow if Greek businesses, Greek institutions improve the quality and the quantity of tourism-related content online? And Oxford Economics basically came up with quite inspiring results, saying that, first of all, there's a potential for at least the Greek economy to grow by about 3.2%, the GDP to grow by 3.2% if we would improve the online content. And that would also help create about 100,000 new jobs.
Great. So marketing businesses, and especially small businesses, effectively online can really have a direct impact on the overall performance of the tourism economy. And those are quite impressive numbers that can be achieved. Perhaps you can just start by helping to shape or paint a picture of what are the key trends that you've seen, both in tourism and also in terms of consumers and what they're looking for. So what should businesses be thinking about today in 2015 when it comes to being relevant and competitive online?
Yes, I think the main, you see several trends, but I would say the main three trends are, first of all, mobile. There's an increasing use of mobile. As we said earlier, we see more and more travelers using their mobile phone while traveling to create and share content, or search for content and information. The second one is the power of video and content in general. People are looking for different kinds of information, different types of formats to better understand of what's there for them, or also share their experiences with their friends and families and circles. And the third one, from a pure business standpoint, I would say we see the importance of good content as well as of targeted campaigns. My colleagues were far more experts in marketing than me. I would say, I guess, that there's no one campaign fits all, but you need a holistic campaign that touches upon and leverages on the different tools, so from advertising to social media, etc. But it has to be targeted to your a particular target group.
Okay, so it's really important to take a holistic, strategic approach, but there are a couple of really big trends, mobile and video, that are emerging. And I guess it would be fair to say that these two big trends pose quite a challenge for businesses that are not familiar with how to produce great video inexpensively and get it out there and deliver it in an effective way, and also how to optimize and get ready for mobile. So perhaps you can just give us an idea of how does Google help businesses to understand, first of all, and also to better develop their skills and work with these new trends so that they can see the results for themselves?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, we're not alone in this effort, and we realize that we cannot do everything ourselves, obviously. So we need to work with, and we do work with, key partners. We work with the Ministry of Tourism in Greece, with the National Tourism Board, and the Federation of Tourism Enterprises. And each one of these partners has a very unique and distinguished role to play in this effort. So what we're trying to do basically is to to create the ecosystem and approach the different partners of the tourism ecosystem in three different pillars. The first one that we started last year with a pilot project on Crete, on the island of Crete, is to talk to the tourism entrepreneurs. So the bright Greek minds who run a small hotel or a restaurant or a bar or renting or a business that rents cars or motorbikes, and explain to them how they can benefit from the internet. Then there's a second, and this campaign went very well in Crete and on Crete, and we were planning to expand this to the rest of the country. And also we see, and there are two other pillars where we see the opportunity. One is to help create an ecosystem of advertising and digital agencies that can support those tourism entrepreneurs, those hotel owners, to create high quality content and efficient online campaigns. And the third one is also to create a pipeline of young professionals that will bring the state-of-the-art technology and know-how to those businesses to optimize their online presence.
And how important are those people then? Because I think you mentioned about developing the agencies as well. I think that may come as a sort of surprise for a tourism business who naturally assumes that agencies have the right skills and are prepared to help them. But do you see that as a always developing landscape then? That even the so-called experts have to really devote some resources and time to re-educating and keeping up with the trends that are happening?
Absolutely. And I don't think there's a single knowledge owner in this ecosystem, this supply chain. Google is not one of them either. We, of course, know and understand one part of it. But the beauty of the web is that it's a very dynamic tool that encourages innovation. So everybody innovates. Everybody learns and can learn from each other, and that's the whole point. There are great agencies out there. There are people who are very creative, very innovative. They know their stuff, but we need to, bring all these people together and bring all these skills together and create the knowledge sharing that will from which the whole tourism industry will benefit at the end.
Okay, great there. So businesses who are thinking, okay, I know that the trends that we've been speaking about are really important. What's your advice? What are some tips in terms of where they could go or how they could think about getting a better understanding and also understanding how best to approach these different trends? Where should they go?
Well, they should. I think they should first seek to gain the necessary skills for them to be able to make good judgments on how to move forward and what's the right strategy for them would be. And I would say they most likely need to, if they don't have the in-house expertise, they would need to search for that expertise. There are many tools out there that some of them are actually for free that can help a small business identify target markets and target customers and run successful campaigns. In Google, we have tools like Google My Business, which helps small companies improve their online presence, basically place themselves on the internet map, if I may call it like that. We have tools like the Google Global Market Finder, via which is also for free, and via which a company can identify which are the markets of greater opportunity based on the product and service they offer. And of course, for tourism business who are already running advertising campaigns, we have also obviously the Google Analytics that will help optimize the campaigns and run them even more efficiently. And I'll give an example. We have there's a small company, a small hotel on the island of Crete. It's called Enagron. It's an agrotourism hotel, and by let's say embracing the web in their daily business, they managed to open up in new markets. They managed to become even more competitive out there and attract more tourists from more markets.
Okay, so actually it doesn't have to be costly. You can start out with a huge range of tools created by Google, but also created by so many different, I think a lot of startups are creating great tools as well. So I guess your advice would be to just see what's out there and to find the tools which will help you make the right decisions, research your market effectively, learn the skills effectively. And I guess even with this new kind of digital ecosystem, also buying services doesn't have to be the sort of costly big campaign idea that I think a lot of businesses might imagine, whether it's creative services, web development, or something else. I guess everything is out there at every budget then would be your kind of advice.
Absolutely. And one thing that came out of the Oxford economic study is that the internet, smaller companies benefit more from the internet than bigger companies, because obviously the internet offers offers smaller companies to be very competitive versus their bigger counterparts. And I think the key here is, since the tool is so dynamic and encourages innovation, is to basically try. Is a lot of trial and error, and it's a lot of learn from successes and failures. So I think that would be my main point.
Great. Okay, and I was going to ask you about small businesses. So you're in your view, definitely the web makes them at a more advantageous position, and they can be more competitive as a small business than as a big business.
Absolutely. I can give another example. Is an online travel agency in Greece called Pame Diakopes, which practically means let's go on vacation.
Okay.
And it started as a small tour operator or tour agency, and now it has expanded it started 4 years ago, and within 4 years they have expanded in, I don't remember how many countries, but even more importantly, they are now employing 150 people, which overall is a great story, but especially for a country like Greece, where unemployment is a key issue. It's great to see that companies that leverage the technology and the web can create jobs for more people.
Very positive there. I guess the key takeaway from what you've told me today is to experiment, and I think that's a really good takeaway for businesses. Try, experiment, and the best learning you can have is from making mistakes, which I think any entrepreneur or young business owner will know, but the same rules apply for the web.
Absolutely, and there's so many tools out there for free, and so much knowledge out there that people can search, experiment, and then decide what's the best strategy for them.
Great.
And so many experts at the same time.
Dionisis, thank you very much for sharing those really good insights with us, and we'll hope to hear more from Google in the series. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, Dionisis, for those inspiring words. I'm sure that a lot of the tourism businesses tuning in really got some great insights out of that. Next, I'm really happy to be introducing another case study from Francesco Errico, who's the shepherd of Pecora Verde, who are tuning in from Italy. And please make sure to tweet along and tweet them any questions, because I know that they're using the hashtag and I'm sure they will answer them.
I'm very pleased to be joined by Francesco Errico from Pecora Verde. Francesco, thanks for joining me. First of all, tell me a bit about yourself and your business.
Hi guys, hi Nick, hi everybody. Well, actually we are running a new business in the shore excursions. Actually we are selling experiences. So we're taking back the new concept of the excursion and we are reinventing the concept with a different way of doing excursions. We started our business 1 year ago. We launched it on the market in August and we decided to take a little bit of our expertise in doing an excursion and placing on it a little bit of communications. In fact, our company is called Pecora Verde, which means green sheep, and is taking back the concept of being out of the crowd, being something different, and this is our main focus actually.
And how important has your approach been to the success of your business in terms of differentiating yourself and standing out with what I think is quite a strong and punchy brand that you have?
Absolutely. What we did, actually, we arrived everything from the cruise industry, and we were a bit fed up of doing always the same kind of excursion with the same kind of things. But especially we were thinking that today the tourism will need definitely a good communication in order to reach different targets. The tourism is changing, and the people also, the way the people is purchasing tourism is totally changing. So far, to tell you the truth, the really most successful thing we did is to use a very strong impact in communication in proposing our services.
Great. Okay, so getting on to how you market your business, just tell us a bit about how you started to develop your identity as a business, how you started to put together your marketing plan and actually reach your customers.
When we thought about Pecora Verde, we were still working with major cruise liners, but we were exactly in the middle between the client, the cruise liner, and the local providers, the DMCs that they are working with the cruise liners. And the idea was a little bit, suggested both from customers and both from the operators, because the products were always the same, and we were really willing to do something different. That it is not so difficult to do something different, but the really thing we did is to take a product, to reinvent a little bit the program, to optimizing the product, taking out the shopping stops. They were a little bit upsetting the people. And we decided to put a strong communication concept behind our services, and now so far is the thing that is paying a lot for us.
Okay, great. And in terms of the knowledge that you've gathered and gained, where did it come from? Is it something you would say was intuitive and inherent for you as to how to go about marketing and creating a really strong brand for your business? Or did you get help from elsewhere? What was your inspiration?
Well, the idea for us, Pecora Verde, is a networking operation. So we took all the excellencies we met during our career, and we decided to put forces together. When I tell something about the Pecora Verde, about how Pecora Verde was conceived and born, it sounds like a joke. I mean, there is an Italian, there's one Greek, there's one Spanish, and there's one Arab that decided to do something different. So we did a sort of networking operation, putting together different professionals in communications, in products, in development, in distributions. So we joined all together in this new venture, which is Pecora Verde. And this is how we managed to bring the right knowledge and the right professionals in this business. All the people that they are working now with us, they believed in something different, and we decided to build something together. This is how we were able to get such a professional people that gave us the possibility to grow so fast in 1 year of activity.
So people and the people that you have decided to involve in the business have very much been key to its success.
Oh, well, actually, the keys, our main asset is exactly the human capital. We are trying to attract, and we are actually attracting because we just have 2 new entries in our team, which are 2 very important professionals in this industry, both concerning product and operations, and both concerning marketing, digital marketing online. And we decided to share a vision with Pecora Verde. And this is how we were able to get very high professionals and without being forced to spend tons of money. Trying to have the people all involved in the operations. This is why we're pushing in this way now, and we have numbers that are really growing so fast.
Okay, and tell me about the web and what's that done for your business. How have you managed to build your business online in actually what is a fairly traditional sector? How have you been able to build those relationships with your customers and reach your customers online?
Online especially, we are distributing our products both directly on our website, of course, and both with other OTAs, big ones like lastminute.coms, eDreams, using, of course, technologies to integrate the 2 websites and operation of upselling and cross-selling. But concerning the marketing, we did, especially on social channels like Facebook and Twitter, we're very active. We have a social media strategist which is taking care about all the actions, and all the actions we do online, we do exactly the same campaigns offline. And this is how this is why I think that we are able to reach guests both online during the vacation, and this is how we are succeeding to build this community. We are really interacting with the people, and especially we are giving the possibility to our customers to help us in making our services better. I mean, if you know something, we think to be the expert of the excursions, but if you know anything, or if you have any suggestions that might fit in our tours, we will be glad to verify, to check it with our local operator, and if it's working, we will introduce it in our excursions. And this is why the people, our guests, are really involved also in building our products.
So the part of the success in marketing your projects is involving people then at every single stage. And from what you're telling us, it's also about taking a really joined up strategic approach where you are working with your guests, you're also working between your off and online activities, and you're joining up everything towards a kind of coherent output. Would that be a good way to summarize the approach that you've taken?
Yes, absolutely. This is an approach where everybody can teach us something and can bring something in our vision. And this is a very open approach to the market. really being there and being ready to listen to any suggestions. The suggestion might be good or not, but anyway, we are listening to anyone. And also the approach we are having with the companies that we are partnering with, it's a totally different approach. Especially, we are really evaluating which is the right target, their customers, the customers they are targeting, and we are building our products around them, tailor-made. Might happen that a certain excursion sold on a certain market will be a bit different, with very small differences, but to be placed on other markets. Because maybe the Italians, just to give you an idea, in St. Petersburg, the excursion is exactly the same. But we are visiting different highlights. And this is something really personalized, tailor-made to the country we are referring with.
So therefore, it's actually very important to understand the needs of your customers and their different behavioral and interest patterns so that you can ensure that you're offering them the right slant, even if it's on the same product.
Absolutely, and we are also doing lots of surveys. 10 days once our guests are back, we are asking them if they have any suggestions to be able to do better for the future. And we are taking all the suggestions, and our department about CRM is analyzing all these data, and upon the data we received, we are modifying products, trying to make them better, always, always, and always.
So intelligence is really key then. You mentioned about a couple of the platforms that people can find Pecora Verde products available, such as lastminute.com. I think a lot of small businesses, and in particular the business that we're actually mentoring in this process, for many people entering into the industry, these are fundamental challenges that sometimes they face. How did you gain an awareness about getting onto the right channels and also using the right tools? Perhaps you could just share with us a little bit about the tools that you use and how you came to select them.
To be honest with you, we use lots of tools, and as I told you before, our technology, it's really tailor-made. It's handmade. We are not using any existing technology. We have our IT department, which is always writing codes, and we are modifying our systems daily, almost daily. We are now at the third release of our front end of the website, but we have a very strong back end, which is able to manage bookings, and it's also able to manage all the financial parts between all the partners we have all over the world. So we pointed a lot on technology, but especially we pointed a lot to have something really that can be changed anytime. And technology, marketing and communication, and the right product, because also we are very focused on the product. And now all the people, they are really satisfied about our product. And this is something for us really, really amazing, because what we did, first we focused on the product, and then we pushed the product with the communication. The communication is very funny. Our company is called Pecora Verde. Pecora Verde in English means green sheep. Green sheep, and our claim is out of the crowd excursions. So I think also the logo, the brand, it's really, really funny. And this is maybe why for us, it was a bit easy, to get so involvement of the people, let's say. We're not really taking life so seriously. We're really always joking. But on the other hand, we are giving you the best service you can find on the market. And I think this is the right mix that gave us the results we have today.
So it sounds like you have a lot of fun and a very laid-back approach to running the business, but I'm sure behind that there's a lot of hard work there. So if I can sort of conclude what I would take from how you've told me about your business, it does sound like the success that you've had in your business and the success to marketing your products and services is very much based on a completely interlinking set of components: the product, the brands, the creative approach, the conversation, the relationship with your customers, and even that goes as far then as the technology, which I guess, from what you're telling me, I guess this is not technology that you've got out of a box and just started with on day one. I understand that's probably something that you've developed and built and improved upon over the time in learning what does and doesn't work in your business. Is that right?
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. We are changing. Maybe, just you are trying because, of course, we are a startup. So maybe you plan something. It takes hours to plan something. But when you put it on the market and also the feedbacks from the market, from professionals, from customers starts to arrive, you maybe understand that what you thought that was right before was not the right solution. So you have to modify it very fast. And I think to be very fast and to be also very clear in what we are saying, we're not losing time. We're always very clear we are not lying. Let's say. Lots of companies, they're lying, but we are always very honest. We work seriously, and we have a flow between the human resources, product, marketing. So it's something really, really, really integrated. For us, Pecora Verde, it's a concept, it's a lifestyle. And then this is what we are trying to bring it to all the people which is working with us, partners, providers, and whatsoever.
Great. That sounds really interesting. I think we're going to be looking out for Pecora Verde as you grow and reach new markets. I think people will be hearing more and more from you. Certainly lots of really good advice there that we can channel back into the businesses watching this, and certainly into our mentoree, Lara. So thank you very much for sharing those really great and unique insights. I think the one message I would take away from what you're telling me is just put the hard work in and change and adapt your business as you learn about what you need to do and what works well.
This is right, absolutely right. And be passionate all the time and do things in the right way. Don't just do things just to do it, but do things in the right way, and the success will come.
Great.
This is what I think.
Francesco, thank you very much for joining us today.
Take care. Bye-bye, guys. Ciao.
So that was Francesco there talking about Pecora Verde. And if you didn't get Ramona's introduction, introducing him as a shepherd, of course he was referring to the fact that Pecora Verde means green sheep, and they certainly stand out from the crowd. Very inspirational to hear about their business. Our next interviewee is Rima Hebert, and she is one of our most respected SMEs that we've come across because she's built a business very, very successfully, and she really knows what she's doing when it comes to online reputation. We have also been receiving a lot of great questions and comments through Twitter, so make sure that you do tweet along, use hashtag #MyTourismBiz, and we will try to answer your questions later in the show. You can also hashtag any of our guests today, and we've been providing their Twitter handles throughout. So our next guest is Rima, and let's hear what she had to say about her business and how she approaches it from a marketing perspective. So I'm very pleased to have Rima Hebert, who's the founder of the Villa Lara Hotel in France. Rima, tell me first of all about your business.
Hello, Nick. How are you? Well, the Villa Lara Hotel in Bayeux is a 4-star hotel that has 28 rooms. We built it from scratch. We started the whole new project, and we built it from scratch. And we tried to have the proper product to fill in a customer need. And so we targeted our market and tried to fill up something that would be convenient to our market, which is mainly North American. So we have 28 rooms. We're 4-star in a very small town close to the landing beaches. Our business has been doing pretty well because we aimed and we looked into everything to be an e-marketing product, and we have been working very hard on our e-reputation too, to make us well known globally right now in the world.
Great, thank you. And that's exactly what we're going to talk to you about today. So tell me, starting with the web, how do you go about marketing your own business online?
Well, because we had a new hotel, we started, or before even we opened the hotel, we started with a proper website announcing the opening of our hotel, and having a proper website to start with that can enhance people to come and look at it with nice pictures and to be able to see the construction and to build trust in our product. We tried to find a name which is our personal name, because our daughter's name is Lara, but we named it Villa Lara, and after doing many researches on the web, there are not many Villa Laras in the world, so it was easy for us. In terms of search engine, it was easy for the person, as long as he knew the name, to find us very easily. So we did not have to right away pay Google AdWords or things like that, because the name was very uncommon and came pretty highly ranked.
So the first thing was to find something that's completely unique.
Exactly. And then so we built up our proper website with a lot of pictures so people could visit. We actually even at one stage had a Google Street View in the hotel, so people could really see the product itself. Being a new product, it was easy for us. Sometimes when you have an older product, it's a bit more difficult to show every bit and piece of your hotel. But for us, being a new product, that was an easy thing to do. So people could literally walk around our hotel by using the Street View, Google Street View, and then they could see the rooms, the reception, everything. We try to work on our a blog or a newsletter. We use WordPress, so we keep people informed of what's going on in the area, what's going on in our hotel. We try to use link exchanges too with all the major attractions here in town, so that we could be referred to or being referred to.
You've been quite innovative then as a business. You've been quite forthcoming in trying completely new things. Bringing Street View into your business, for example, is not something that many businesses do. But for you, it was important to be at the very front of new technology and doing the kind of content that people are looking for. Is that right?
Yes, that is true, and because this is the only way that people could see things properly. Because when you do a video or a street view, you sort of not arrange your place for it to look nice. The camera just walks around, and you cannot put a flower bouquet around the corner, so people see it exactly as it is.
So I guess very much about providing that kind of product transparency, but also allowing people to get to know you through things like the blog as well. Tell me, when it comes to putting a marketing plan together, what's your advice to tourism business in terms of putting a marketing plan together as a small business in the industry?
To me is you have to, first of all, you have to target your market. So you have to know who you're dealing with, what kind of people you're dealing with, if you're doing business or if you're doing tourism or if you're doing leisure or if you're doing tourism in general, which is our case. It's 100% tourism. We have no business. So once you target your market, then you start working your product to fit into this market. For example, in our case, our beds are all king size beds. They're minimum 180 or 2 meters, which corresponds to our market. Had we been catering to Japanese people, we would have bathtubs in every bathroom, for example. So once you set up your marketing plans, you have to know to whom you're catering and for it to fill in what they're looking for, basically. In our small hotel, for example, all our rooms are air conditioned. For our guests, it's very important to have air conditioning, even if it's cold outside. Sometimes they want their air conditioning to be going around. Things like that. When you target your market, you know what you're looking for and you know what people are looking for, and then you head up from there.
Great. And in terms of taking those first steps to marketing yourself online as a business, what are the key things that you should think about first?
As we said earlier, things that you need is, as I said, you need to target your market. Then you can choose different aspects of marketing your business online. You can use search engines such as Booking.com, TripAdvisor. But then for us, it has been, we use these tools, but our aim is to market ourselves mostly directly by using things that TripAdvisor would. Now they have their online system, but we try to have guests come to our website and book online with us. And this is only by having an attractive website that loads easily, that looks and reads professionally, especially, as we said earlier, by using the Google Street View in there. So people generally go read the comments and come into our website, and by seeing a proper, nice, clean website, they are keen to book straight with us. And we do have an online booking engine. I would suggest that's a very important thing to have on your website too, so that you can people can directly book with you. We try to maintain a direct contact with our guests, even if they have booked online using another booking engine. We contact them after they have booked, so that we give them ideas of what they can do, what they can book online. So we keep a direct contact, even if things are done online. We try to keep things to be as human as possible, and for them to know that they can contact us anytime, even concerning a restaurant booking or anything. So I would say customer satisfaction is our main target right now.
Great. So technology is great. Start with the website. Make sure that the website is really delivering the right image for your business, and make sure that that allows people to book. But ultimately, whatever channel people book through, for you, the relationship with your customers is really important, regardless of the technology.
Exactly. It's number one. That's what I would say to small SMEs is they have to do their job properly. By doing their job properly, they will be known worldwide, because word of mouth is very small in this content. It goes very fast. And once you do your job professionally and properly, people will know about you.
Do you think this is actually something that you would consider an advantage as a small business, which allows you to build those relationships and have a different kind of marketing result out of that?
Definitely. I don't know if I had a hotel that had 150 rooms, that I would be able to talk to each and every person. Having a hotel of 28 is 28 rooms, which is a maximum of 60 people at once. I know every single guest at the hotel. I speak to them minimum once in their stay, and I think that makes us what we are today. Is we have this sort of guest relation. We even continue it after they depart. Sometimes we often thank them for having stayed with us, and ask them if there is anything that they did not like, or what they liked about us, so that these help us to get better in what we're doing. Being in the tourism industry, and basically in the tourism clientele, it's pleasant. It's people, what they feel and what they think about you right away, because you are in direct contact with them all the day. And being probably a small property helps a lot doing having this personal business relationship.
Rima, one last question about digital. You've been very successful. How have you achieved this success? Has it been through hard work yourselves, learning the technology, learning how you need to communicate, learning what you need to do online with your customers? Or is it actually building a trusted network of suppliers, programmers, developers, social media experts who can help you do that? What's the approach that you've taken?
Well, because I have been very much interested into all this, I go to a lot of conferences that have been in the area or in Paris to learn a bit about different things. I do have a webmaster that manages our webpage, to whom I go back and say, listen, I would like to introduce my Street View, for example, or I would like to introduce my blog, and he would do it for me. Mainly, I have been reading a lot about the subject, and as I say, assisting to a lot of different conferences to learn about different things, trying to keep updated by having professional magazines or websites, or people like yourself that I follow, and see what their advice are in terms of marketing and e-marketing especially.
Great. So basically, the trick to staying relevant and staying alive online is to teach yourself and to keep reteaching yourself and keeping your knowledge up to date, so that you're able to pass on the very latest kind of approaches to your customers and into your business. Is that right?
That is right, but always keeping in mind the direct contact that you have with your guests. because they would give you the info that you need sometimes to look for and from where to start something and go from there.
Great. Rima, thank you very much for your time today. I do appreciate you taking time out of running a very busy and successful business. I wish you all the best, and we look forward to having you answer some questions via Twitter with some of the people who are watching this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nick, and hope to see you soon then.
So, a lot of really interesting case studies and great tips from our experts there. Now we are joined once again with Lara to talk about her business and, of course, your take on all those different case studies and interviews we conducted. So tell me, Lara, what do you take away from all of those different experts?
Well, I think, I'm being very encouraged right now. I feel really encouraged because most of these experts have been talking about how small doesn't necessarily mean bad or, and it actually gives you some strengths. For instance, this trust you can build directly with your customer. It's not such a drawback. So
actually you're starting to see a bit of optimism about being a small business competing in a very competitive environment, but actually there are some opportunities there for you.
I also think that, being in touch directly with your customer also gives you a lot of flexibility, right? To change directions in your marketing strategies and all sorts of communication. So, there's some positive things there.
It's not all stress,
yes,
business stress.
Well.
And what about that kind of feedback about, hey, just go for it, make mistakes, you'll learn from your mistakes, and this is the best education you can have as a business. Is that something that you're going to perhaps embrace and be more gung-ho about how you approach your activities now?
Well, I really like the theory. I really like how it sounds, and I'd love to say, I embrace that, but at the same time, it's really scary. I guess that's the scariest part, at least for me. But it's definitely good to hear that from other people who have probably failed and been there, done that. So.
Now, Carole spoke about business plans, and she gave some just very concise, straightforward advice. What do you take from that? How much of what Carole said do you relate to, and have you sort of gone forwards with?
It's really good. She said, start with just one simple line, stating what you want to do in your business.
Have you done this yet?
Yeah,
okay,
I think
great.
so.
You have your mission statements?
I don't know if that's what she means, but I want to build yoga retreats, amazing yoga retreats in Spain. Yeah. For yoga teachers.
So that's your vision.
I guess.
Yeah, your mission.
I probably have to think a little bit more about it, but. And I think that's a very good starting point. It's quite simple, but it's definitely the best way to start, because when you start writing your business plan, you get this 1,000 pages of the huge index of everything you need to follow, and it's quite overwhelming.
Yeah, and perhaps sometimes it's too much, right?
Yeah. And again, there's lots of things that you don't know how to do, and so I'll definitely start with that.
Yeah, and about not so much making it up as you go along, but adapting your business as you go along. Is this something that you feel you've already done?
Probably, yes. One of my first ideas, I'm still thinking about it, obviously, but I would like to organize retreats in inland Spain and do some, hiking and probably some skiing and stuff in the very nice mountains we have, both Pyrenees, for instance. And I found that some of the clients have told me, well, no, if I go to Spain, I want to go to the beach. And so, I've started to rethink about that already. I don't like it in a way, because I'm still thinking, it would be a good product, but I'm definitely going to be
listen
thinking
to your customers and
sure.
take that on board.
Yeah.
What do you think of Pecora Verde? Because I really enjoyed chatting to Francesco, and I thought his advice and his overall spirit with which he's kind of approached his business was really an inspiration. They started off really small and they grew to sort of 15 people or so.
Yeah.
And he spoke about a lot of different things from the brand to technology.
Yeah.
How do you sort of relate to that?
Well, I really liked it. I really like how he spoke a lot about the importance of communication and communicating, and with the client and the values behind their brand. And I think it's a great approach, and I'd like to go in the same way. So, yeah.
So let's talk a bit about your website now, because you have actually made quite a few interesting developments on your site since we first looked at it, and I think definitely going in the right direction.
Okay.
Certainly in terms of the brands that you're trying to convey, the overall styling, the overall presentation, it's very, very inspiring. So we have to give my hat off to you for that.
Thank you.
That's not an easy task, and that's usually the point where a lot of businesses already fail. How developed have you got from a technology point of view? So Francesco spoke about how they've adapted, they've built and they've rebuilt and they've developed technology as they've gone along, which has effectively helped them reach that final sale. Is this something that you have been able to give thought to yet? Of course, it's still very early days.
Yeah, it's still the first version of the website, what I have out there. But yes, it's been, I've been thinking a lot about it. Actually, it might be the second version. I started with a website directed to, addressed to just people who wanted to go on a yoga retreat. And although I was thinking that my client were the yoga teachers, I was not talking to the yoga teachers. So after a few months, it took me a while to realize that. And then I kind of changed that approach. But yeah, I'm still thinking about that a lot. I need to make a lot of improvements on that. And then maybe what he talks about a lot as well is their back end and their booking system and all that. And that's still something I need to definitely...
So you need a proper way to process your bookings that you receive and turn those around.
Yes. It's really easy to just have a contact form that everybody can do that, and that's what I have so far on my website. That was a start, but yeah, I definitely need to.
So the next step is booking and payment.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that you plan to do that, and once you put together your marketing plan, which I'm guessing you're now going to start working on a combination of the Google Travel Cycle, which is a good sort of basic starting point, and also taking on board some of Lindsay's comments about the dream model.
Yeah.
I guess once you put that together and you're very successful with that and your product is perfect, getting those bookings, making sure that you process those quickly and efficiently, that's going to be the key to your success in the end.
Yeah,
Great.
We'll see.
Okay, well, really inspirational to hear from you. We do also have lots of tweets coming in. Before we go to those, I should just say that we won't see you next week, unfortunately. You're off doing a yoga retreat, so we wouldn't want to get in the way of that. But we're going to catch up with you later on in the series and find out how your yoga retreat business is going, and in particular how your next yoga retreat actually performs and how you can engage with your customers during the opportunity. But first of all, before we wrap up, let's go to see what people have been saying on Twitter. So we have been very, very busy on Twitter. We have our communications, social media team hard at work, pushing content out, pushing links out, and also seeing what people are sending back. So we have a tweet from Hans Lack. He says he's just telling people to tune in, that it's very, very inspiring. We have Oggio Lavei. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. They're asking... they say, at Think Tourism, trying to make travelers dream about a small place in Tuscany, hashtag #MyTourismBiz. So they're really inspired and trying to get people to dream about it. That's really great. We also have some questions also from Hans Leck asking about online reputation systems. What would we recommend? Well, we actually have we have the next program, which will be all about online reputation. So we're going to try and answer all of your questions about online reputation then. We had a question also for Lindsay, asking for good examples of businesses that have used the DREAM model. I know that Lindsay is on Twitter right now, and she's going to be trying to get back to you with those questions. And we also had a question about tourism SMEs. Wake up, digital is the world. I think, this is, they said they loved this, and I think if this is a key takeaway, that we've seen, even in some of the case studies, that some businesses have taken a while to just get on board with digital, and there is still a frustration from those who do get it, that the rest of the industry is perhaps not completely caught up. Also, we did have a very interesting question from Minda Vardag, who asked how many persons in the company Pecora Verde in percentage specialize in coding. Well, I think that's not a question we can answer ourselves. I know they will be on hand to answer that. So let's see what they have to say, and let's hope they get back to you. But they do have 15 people, and they have gone through a process of really developing everything they get. But of course, the technology is not their core business. So I'm sure that that's probably not the whole team working on technology. I guess they manage it better and better. So thanks a lot to everybody who's tweeted. It's been really great to have all of your interactions online. That is more or less it. So thank you, of course, to Lara again for joining us and to sharing your business journey with us. I hope that all of this has been very useful.
Yeah, thank you for following me.
And we're going to be hearing more about how you get on in a couple of weeks. But next time we will be talking about managing your online reputation. The next program will take place on the 11th of February 2015 at the same time, 1600 CET, and we look forward to seeing you there. Thanks a lot.